Being a child star means that you're on top of the world for a while, but what goes up eventually must come down. Yet sometimes the child stars in question are in complete denial. When the spotlight is taken away, some will just keep performing. As we get ready for makeup and wardrobe, why not watch some of our videos to pass the time? All you need to do to join our VIP club is to hit that red subscribe button and turn on the notifications by clicking on the gray bell. Daniel Radcliffe. What? How in the world could we have Harry freaking Potter in this video? Well, let's talk about it. When the Harry Potter movies were coming out, Radcliffe was pretty much the most famous kid in the world. But fame was taking his toll on him as he got older. By the time he was filming The Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, he had admitted that he was drinking during filming. After the Harry Potter series was over, it seems that Radcliffe's career has slowed down dramatically. He has since appeared on Broadway as well as in several movies, but none of them bring him that same attention that Harry Potter gave him. Jaden Smith. When Jaden Smith was a kid, he really seemed to have it all. He had Hollywood royalty for parents, and he had a promising acting resume ahead of him. The world waited with bated breath for Smith to take the reins from his dad and continue to have a prestigious career in Hollywood. But then, he emancipated his parents when he was 15, announced he was quitting Hollywood, and his Twitter became the butt of everyone's jokes. In short, he's lost the respect of a lot of people, and it seems that some of his creative risks he took ended up being the nail in the coffin of his career. Perhaps some redemption could happen in the future, especially since he's still known as Will Smith's kid and such. But the future is vague for this child star. Alana Thompson. You probably know her better as Honey Boo Boo, the little pageant queen with more attitude than anyone. Thanks to her crazy antics on Toddlers and Tiaras, Thompson and her mom, Mama June, got their own show. When the show ended in 2014, we all assumed that Thompson and her family were done for good. But there was a comeback, and it wasn't Honey Boo Boo's, it was her mom's. Mama June has been hitting the news lately after her weight loss journey, her mission to find love, and more. It seems that Thompson has lost her spotlight, but because she's on her mom's show, Mama June, from not to hot, she thinks she still has some fame. Unfortunately, the spotlight only has room for Mama June, and Thompson will hopefully grow up to do her own thing. CHRISTY CARLSON Romano. CHRISTY CARLSON Romano has been in the entertainment business since she was a child. She started on Broadway and then became one of Disney's golden kids. Romano was even working on 3 projects at the same time, with Even Stevens, Cadet Kelly, and voicing the lead role in Kim Possible. But after those shows ended, it seemed that Romano struggled to stay relevant before finally moving on to smaller projects. The spotlight shone on Romano recently when the 15th anniversary of Kim Possible came about. Fans were stunned to see that she hadn't aged a day, unlike Shia LaBeouf. Maybe it's because she hasn't had to stress about the demands of Hollywood, who knows, but she continues to get some work, and you've probably heard her voice without even realizing it. Taylor Lautner. Before he was playing a werewolf in the Twilight film franchise, Taylor Lautner was a child star with notable roles like Shark Boy in The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. In 2008, Lautner was one of the hottest actors in Hollywood, and it seemed that he had his whole career ahead of him. But then it just stopped. Apparently, after 2011, the offers for leading man-type roles weren't as abundant. Plus, Lautner was asking a lot of money per movie, and producers didn't feel like his price was justified. So the offers dried up. Lautner has had a hard time getting out of the shadows of the Twilight successes, but as long as he keeps thinking he has the same amount of fame and asking for lots of money, his dry spell is going to continue. Mara Wilson. We remember Mara Wilson as playing the title role in the movie Matilda, as well as acting alongside Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire. But it was like a game of now you see her, now you don't. Wilson completely disappeared from the spotlight for well over a decade. She reappeared on social media recently, and she said she's ready to dive back into Hollywood. But then people started noticing her harsh commentary on celebrities, fellow child stars, world events, and more. Yet some fans have been turned off by Wilson's assumptions that she has the same amount of fame that she once had. Haley Joel Osment. As soon as he whispered, "I see dead people," to Bruce Willis, it seemed that Haley Joel Osment had Hollywood in the palm of his little hands. What a lot of people don't know is that his big movie break was actually playing Tom Hanks' son in Forrest Gump. He would go on to star in the movie AI Artificial Intelligence, but then after that he completely disappeared. Osment was considered to be one of the most talented child stars in the business, and yet he wasn't taking advantage of his relevancy at the time. He resurfaced several years later after a run-in with the law for crashing his car while intoxicated. The leading roles dried up, and Osment tried to continue working on smaller projects. While he's no longer as famous as he thinks he is, OSMENT still has that adorable smile that will melt anyone's heart. Abigail Breslin. Abigail Breslin made quite a splash in the beginning of her career. She was one of the most sought-after child stars in the business and was even nominated for an Oscar for her performance in Little Miss Sunshine. But as she got older, the offers for leading lady roles dwindled. She was soon only getting work in horror movies, which is sometimes seen as a sign of a failing career. Breslin recently starred in the remake of Dirty Dancing, playing the role of Baby, but even that got negative reviews. It seems that her transition to more mature and adult roles has been a rocky one, and Breslin is still resting on her laurels with her previous successes as a child star. Anna Klumsky. If Anna Klumsky looks familiar, you probably remember her as Veda in My Girl and My Girl 2. Unfortunately, these days, she has a memorable face that will jog a memory, but most people can't pinpoint where they know her from unless they use Google. Klumsky tried to continue acting after the successes of the movies and attempted to ride on her fame a little bit. But by the time she was in college, she quit acting. After college, Klumsky worked in an editorial firm and started taking acting classes again. Her career is getting back on its feet, but she had to perform in 10 theatrical shows in a row before catching anyone's attention again. These days, she's seen on Veep, but her level of fame is nowhere near to where it once was when My Girl became such a hit. Dustin Diamond. Dustin Diamond played the iconic role of Screech on the show Saved by the Bell. Once the show was over, Diamond greatly struggled to keep himself relevant and his acting career afloat. He just couldn't shake the Screech stereotype, but that's what happens when you hang on to a role for that long. Diamond also intentionally leaked a certain type of adult tape in hopes of resurrecting his career called Saved by the Smell. He was arrested for sticking a knife in a guy and spent 3 months behind bars. Diamond also released a book called Behind the Bell, but needless to say, the only reason Diamond has any relevancy is because of negative press. Amanda Bynes. She went from one of the most popular child actors in the world to having a breakdown that ended her career. First, she announced that she was quitting the business, and then the world found out just how unwell she was. She even threatened to end her parents' lives, which isn't normal thinking. Even when Bynes came back around and said she was ready to get back in the business, she found that Hollywood wasn't so eager to cast her anymore. Maybe it's denial, or maybe she's staying hopeful, but Bynes doesn't seem to understand that she's not as famous or in demand as she once was, which is really hard to watch. Kevin Jonas. Kevin Jonas seems to have been the less famous third of the Jonas Brothers. He recently revealed that the band split because they wanted to be a family and not a band. Nick has gone on to be a successful musician as well as Joe, but for Kevin, he's always talking about projects, but they don't seem to ever be happening. He tried to have a reality show with his wife Danielle called Married to Jonas, which only lasted for 2 seasons. He also appeared on The Celebrity Apprentice in 2015. So it seems that the only person who really suffered from the Jonas Brothers split has been Kevin. But he doesn't seem to realize this. As the saying goes, denial isn't just a river in Egypt. Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff had a good run as Lizzie McGuire on the Disney Channel. She had her own clothing line, and every girl in America wanted to be her. But after the show was over, she tried to make it in the music industry, and that just didn't happen. It seemed that she hit the peak of her fame while she was still hanging out with Mickey Mouse. Granted, she is currently on the show Younger, but it's not a leading role. Perhaps her work on the show will give her some traction towards a comeback. Nick Cannon. The world first got to know Nick Cannon as a cast member of Nickelodeon's All That. Once his time there was over, he starred in the movie Drumline, which nearly flopped. Since then, you haven't seen much of Cannon, except that he has been hosting America's Got Talent, as well as marrying Mariah Carey, having some kids with her, and then going through a divorce. Cannon recently announced that he would no longer be the host of AGT because he didn't want to be silenced or controlled when it came to his side projects. So to break it down, Cannon didn't have much fame in the first place, and it seems that he's throwing away what little he's got left. Paris Hilton. In the early 2000s, it seemed that Paris Hilton was getting media coverage wherever she went. She was famous for simply being the granddaughter of a man who started the Hilton hotel chain. It seemed that Hilton was always either partying too much, starring in a bedroom tape, getting caught without underwear. There was always something going on with her. She tried to have a music career, and then she simply disappeared from the media. These days, Hilton is DJing, and she's trying to get her name back out there. But considering that she oversaturated the media and people got tired of her, she will probably never be as famous as she once was. And that is a wrap. Do you think these child stars have a comeback approaching? Let us know in the comments below. Before you head off to your next shoot, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Need to pass the time? Well, then here's some videos to tide you over. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.